This is the new TC Pride Podcast, episode 98, on location at the Minnesota State Capitol for the 2018 OutFront Youth Summit.
Dwayne, and I am a queer Christian pastor. I came out when I was 14 years old in a black Pentecostal tradition, and they said that that was unheard of. But I heard something else. I heard something that made sense to me, that there was nothing wrong with who I was and who I wanted to love. That I stand up here right now to tell you that I will stand against anything called conversion therapy or reparative therapy, because there is no conversion in it. There is no repair about it. It does do nothing for you. It is not required. It is soul crushing. It is life denying. And I, as long as I have bone in my body and breath in my body, will preach against it. The sacred text of my faith said that God created us in God's own image, and then said that it is good. That's right. And then a psalmist came along and saying that God made us fearfully and wonderfully. So I want you to hear me today, and I want you to know it. No matter what you encounter in your journey in life, no matter what faith people you hear in your life, I want you to know something. I want you to hear it right now, and I want it to reverberate in your minds as long as you live. There is nothing about you that needs to be changed or converted. There is no soul-crushing, life-denying torture that should make you anything other than who you are, the beloved creation of God. And if you are lesbian, if you are gay, if you are bisexual, if you are transgender, if you are queer, if you are gender non-conforming, you are fearfully and wonderfully made just as you are. Remember it. There are going to be people out there who are going to try to present this to you as a viable option. They're going to say it's about choice. They're going to say that you are not in the will of God. They're going to say that you are going to be damaging yourself to hell. They're going to come with all these examples. And when you hear it, I want you to hear me say, there is nothing about you. If you are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or gender nonconforming, there is nothing about you that is not good. You are made in the image of God, and God said it is good.
On location at the OutFront Minnesota Youth Summit at the State Capitol, and I'm here with
Reverend Dwayne Davis, pastor of All God's Children Metropolitan Community Church.
It's been a while. How you been doing?
I'm doing fine. It has been a while. Good to see you again.
And why are we here today?
Well, we're here to support the Protection from Conversion Therapy Act. We are woefully behind other states who've banned this torturous practice of trying to change someone's sexual orientation or gender identity through what they call therapeutic measures. But the APA and the American Pediatric Society, all of them have said, no, there's no such thing as conversion therapy. It is very destructive and degrading.
I'm so excited that you're all here and that you're fighting the good fight to make our state equitable and affirming for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer Minnesotans. Right? You are powerful, and we're so excited that you're just fighting this fight every day, just by being who you are, being out, and also working to make a difference in our state. So thank you so much. I'm Monica Myer. I'm the Executive Director of OutFront Minnesota. And I'm just honored to be inspired by you.
Monica Myer.
Monica, how you doing? It's been a little while, hasn't it?
Oh, it's so incredible. It's such a great day. Well, we're here because youth are talking to legislators, and they're talking about ways that they can influence what happens in our state and make our state more loving and affirming for all people.
And of course, OutFront Minnesota is engaged in education and activism throughout the year. What are some other things that are coming up, or how can people get involved online?
Sure. Check out our website, outfront.org, and we have Lobby Day coming up. It's Lobby Day for LGBTQ equity on April 19th, and we would love to see everybody come back to the Capitol and really just shout out and work for justice and for love and it'll be a powerful day.
Hi, I'm Erin Murphy.
Erin, great to see you again. Why are we here today?
I am joining students here at the state capitol who are talking about banning conversion therapy for LGBT and Q students. And I am a strong supporter of a ban. Conversion therapy is not a tested or trusted intervention for people, and it would be very, very harmful for young people in the state of Minnesota. And while some people suggest that it is an important thing to be available for providers, that's not based in research. And as a nurse and as a mom, I don't support it. And as a policymaker, I oppose it. And that's why it's important to lend my voice and my presence here today.
And for people who haven't heard yet, you're running for governor. How's the campaign going?
I am running for governor. The campaign is awesome. It's beautiful. And I will say, all across the state of Minnesota, young people are standing up, demanding urgent change on the things that matter to them. And I am excited to be here on the steps of the Capitol with so many young people doing just that.
Thank you so much for your time today, Erin. Enjoy the rest of the day, and good luck with the campaign.
Thank you so much. It's great to see you.
This woman is history, living history. I'm not saying she's old, but she's amazing, and it just warms my heart that you're on the steps here to know Karen Clark, to know what she's done, and she has this opportunity to hand the baton and hand the making of history off to you.
Karen Clark, everybody. Well, thank you. Oh my goodness. What I can just say is this is your house. This is your Capitol. Please come in and actually help us take it over. Really. One thing I've learned, we passed some pretty tough laws here. We passed in 1993 before, of course, I don't know anybody here was born then, other than me. We passed the law that added those real dangerous words, sexual orientation, to the Minnesota state law, and it was the one that in the whole country it included everybody. Transgender folks were words that we put into the law there that no other state had. So that was a really strong bill that passed then, and then a few years back, another 20 years, we passed the marriage law, and you all know about that, equal marriage. Okay, so what I wanted to say about passing both of those laws is the only way we did it is by people like you coming in and saying, this is me. Show your face. This is the person that you're passing that law for, or this is the one that you would be passing that law against if you do it the wrong way. So I have learned that we can change hearts and minds of people in here. And I don't know, how many people know who represents you in the House of Representatives or in the Senate? How many of you know your legislator's name? Please go to them and say, you work for me. I am your constituent. I live at XYZ, and I really need you to help us stop this terrible practice of torture that's going on. And here's the bill. Do you know the number of the bill? I think if you just show them your face and say, this is me, this affects me, this can harm me, and these other things can really help me. And House File 2281, future legislator, right here. So I just want to thank you, because none of the changes that we were talking about here today or any of those other pieces of legislation I talked about would have happened without people like you coming and saying, this is about us. This is our lives. And we know that you work for us, and please honor us. So I want to say I honor you all. Thank you so much for being here today. Appreciate it.
We should no longer use the term conversion therapy. It is torture, plain and simple. Subjecting God's beautiful creatures to this barbaric practice is unconscionable. It has no place in a civil society. The damage to our souls, the very being of untold lives, is devastating. But you ask, Senator Dibble, this has been discredited. What is the necessity of this bill? Professional associations condemn it. Because it still happens. Hundreds of thousands of young people have been subjected to this torturous, barbaric practice over the years. Thousands more are in so-called conversion therapy torture today. Congressman John Lewis tells young people, if we come together with love and a sense of community, you can make the impossible possible. Friends, in this world, we need to start making the impossible possible. We need to get about the business of more love. We need everyone giving of their full selves to bring their fabulous, fierce, beautiful, talented selves to our world. We need every single one of us, every single one of you, no one to spare. We need this bill. We need this bill heard. We need this bill voted on. We need it passed. We need to put it on the governor's desk. It needs to become law. We need to ban torture in Minnesota. Thank you very much.
Scott Dibble.
Senator, how are you doing today?
I'm great, thanks. Yeah, this is a great rally. We're listening to the voices of the young people lead the way and tell us that this democracy needs to start responding to their values and their priorities and what they expect out of us. And one thing they expect out of us is that we ban this thing, so-called conversion therapy, and really is torture.
So I believe the last time we spoke was at the rally for the Orlando victims some time ago. What have you been up to since then?
I've been speaking of working on anti-gun violence measures, gun safety measures, and really trying to advance an agenda that creates more broadly speaking, a more equitable, safe society, greater economic justice, greater social justice, trying really hard to advance those ideas in a legislature where it's dominated by a Republican majority that doesn't want to hear any of that discussion.
And when you were talking about Karen Clark today, you were talking about passing the torch to a new generation of young people who would make a difference in their own way. Why is it so important to support events like this and youth activism in general?
Well, I have to tell you, I was young once myself. I'm still youngish. And I got my start and was inspired at rallies like this. I was a street protester, a street activist, and I remember hearing inspiring words from people who had walked the ground that I wanted to walk, and was inspired and called to greatness in myself. And I have to tell you, Karen Clark is one of those people. I was literally protesting on the streets, getting arrested, engaging in civil disobedience, and she reached out to me, asked me to run her campaign. I didn't know anything about running campaigns, and really showed me that there's a role for pushing the boundaries and pushing from the outside, and there's also a role for coming inside the halls of power and being effective in changing policy. I believe strongly that we need people on the outside putting pressure on those on the inside. We need people who can also translate that divide. And so some of these young people are going to be inspired to continue to engage and put pressure on the system. Some are going to put on a suit like I wear now and engage in the work of crafting policy and getting it through the process so that ultimately the laws that we live by and the resources that we allocate benefit the most people.
Thank you, sir, so much for your time. Good luck with everything you're doing.
Great. Thank you very much.
I'm Representative Erin May Quaid. I represent Apple Valley and the northeast portion of Lakeville. I'm a queer woman of color. I'm a millennial. And when I ran for office, thank you. When I ran for office, they told me to be quiet, to keep my head down. I got loud so I could hold my head up high. I am so glad that you are here with us. I'm so glad that you're getting loud to hold your heads up high, to tell people who you are and how you are and exactly how you are. It's perfect and wonderful. Then not one single thing needs to change or be converted or change in any way to make you better. You are perfect and wonderful exactly the way that you are. I hope that we are blazing a path and a trail for you to join us here at this Capitol and this legislature, not just on the steps, but in those seats. Yes. I will end with this. It does not stop at the rally. It does not stop at the protest. Because if we do not show up to make different decisions and make different people in the decision-making seats, we are volunteering for our own oppression. And I refuse to volunteer to be oppressed any longer. I will not participate in my own oppression any longer, and I urge you not to do the same thing. I urge you to volunteer to end the oppression that we have right now. Thank you so much for being here and for being who you are, because I love you. Thank you.
Michael McDowell, the civic engagement organizer at OutFront, Minnesota. We're here to stand in support with students, and because they're calling for a ban of the conversion therapy, because they're calling it torture therapy. That's not my words. I was actually in a workshop with the students and teaching them like basic direct action skills. And I kept saying therapy, and they're like, no, we need to call it what it is. It's torture. It's torture. It's torture. And so the youth actually gave me that language. So conversion torture, that's what we're trying to ban. And it's been beautiful to see the youth rise up, because it's something that's been happening like nationally around gun violence, and just the education system in general. So it's cool to see like specifically queer youth rising up and fighting for something that's specifically for them and that's specifically harming them.
And it's important we support youth activism at every level.
Absolutely, absolutely, because the youth are the ones that are going to pass the torch. Karen Clark said it so well. She said, I'm not running for another term, so I need radical youth like you to be the ones that like take over my position and are taking over seats in the state capitol. And that was really important for youth to hear that.
Jeffrey Ford, licensed psychologist.
And you were one of our speakers today.
Yes, I was. We're here because we want to support legislation to make conversion therapy illegal, to have people not be able to claim something that isn't scientific, that isn't based in fact, and have people spend money, time, and more importantly, have their souls ripped apart and have people become depressed, even suicidal, when it doesn't work.
TC Pride Podcast on location on the steps of the state capitol, and I'm here with
Jacob Thomas.
Jacob. How you doing? It's been a little while.
It has been. It's been about a year and a half.
I think so. And why are we here today?
Well, so we are here, firstly, with OutFront Minnesota, and we're just finished up a youth summit, which is our 6th youth summit that we've done. And we were rallying to end conversion therapy, which is a medical malpractice, essentially. And so we had about, a ton of kids here, both on the steps and then also inside while the press conference and rally was going on, meeting with their legislators, urging them to ban conversion therapy. So we have a bill both in the House and the Senate right now that aren't getting hearings through the Health and Human Services committees, and we need them to, because we need to keep our children and our families safe here in Minnesota.
And of course, this is one day, and OutFront is engaged in education and activism all year long. How can people get involved online or any other way?
Yeah, so there are a ton of ways to get involved. You can go to outfront.org, that's OUTFRONT.org, and on there we've got a list of volunteer ways that you can get involved. The main kind of next thing that we're doing is on April 19th, we have our LGBTQ Lobby Day. So essentially the same thing that we just did here today, but with everyone involved and a whole lot bigger. So today was really focused on our high schoolers and our gender and sexuality alliances across the state. And the LGBTQ Lobby Day is a chance for everyone, adults, kids, youth, elders, to come together and lobby our representatives who are supposed to be keeping our best interests at heart. Lobby them to do the things that we need them to do, like pass a gay panic defense bill that bans the ability for people to claim that just because someone was gay, they felt like it was okay to attack them or murder them. Banning conversion therapy, like what we're talking about today, to end that harmful practice, and also to advance legislation for comprehensive sexual health education in our schools that actually takes into account LGBTQ identities so that our kids know how to be who they are and really have the resources and knowledge to explore what their identity is.
Thanks so much. As always, great to see you again, and good luck with everything you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you.
The TC Pride Podcast is a production of Podletter Media and Twin Cities Pride. Subscribe now on iTunes, on Android, or by email at tcpridepodcast.org. Get above the noise by raising your voice. Podletter Media turns your email newsletter, blog, or video content into a more powerful, more personal, more intimate, on-demand listening experience. Your podcast, your story, your voice. Simplified, amplified. Learn more now at podletter.com.